Welcome to Hoosier Gameday, brought to you by the Hoosier Network, your weekly football show on all things IU. I'm your host, Liv Clements, with Ryan Canfield. Ryan, it's officially football season. This Saturday, IU kicks it off. Looking back at last season, how did you think it went for the Hoosiers?
For me, I feel like last season truly never really got off the ground. When you had, transfer quarterback Taven Jackson coming in, you had the QB battle that started all off. You had some inefficiencies with coaching, whether it was, Walt Bell starting off and then getting fired in the middle of the season. It just feels like they had a chance to get to the bowl, but it just couldn't really get off the ground. And I remember after the Wisconsin game, that one win against Wisconsin was a really nice kickstart. And then the next week, Illinois, the loss that really it put them out of bowl contention. And I just feel like it never really got off the ground.
Yes, and I think what's interesting also is after not having the season the Hoosiers wanted to last season, they went ahead and had Coach Allenby let go, coaching from 2016 to 2024. Now, with that decision being made by the athletic department, where do you see IU moving forward now with making that decision?
Well, first of all, I think it's great that the board and Scott Dolson are serious about winning. And it's a very opportune time to have a new era, especially with the 12-team playoff. Anybody could make this 12-team playoff. You don't have to win your conference championship. You don't have to go 12-0, 11-1. So I think it's a really opportune time. I mean, people who wanted Allen fired a year earlier, or maybe would have wanted him here this year, I think the stars aligned, and Curt Cignetti is the man for this job. And I think he is going to be fantastic. And we'll see it here in less than 36 hours.
Yes, and you talked about Curt Cignetti. He's not the only new face, right, coming into this season. When last season they went 3-9, and it wasn't the season they wanted, right? And then they only won one conference game. Curt Cignetti has a lot of pressure on him. New faces. Who are you looking forward to the most that's coming in from with Curt Cignetti going into this season?
Well, I mean, and I said this on our podcast, HN College Football Show. It all started, the post-hire movements, it all got started bringing back Donovan McCulley. Yep. When you bring in, one of the highly touted receiver transfers, if you go on 24/7, you will see that Donovan McCulley is the number one receiver, or not receiver, just the whole recruit in the entire recruiting class from the transfer portal for IU. So getting him back, bringing him back, he's a Bloomington kid. I think that's really, really good. Another guy I really like, defensive end, Mikhail Kamara, coming over for JMU. I think he is going to be just a game wrecker that we've seen in the past, like Aaron Casey. So I think he's going to be really, really good. And then also, of course, the quarterback, Curtis Rourke, who we'll talk about in a second.
Do you see that IU returners and the JMU transfers meshing together this season?
I think, obviously I do. I'm not sure how long it's going to take, if they're going to be ready to beat, world breakers just yet.
Right.
But I think any time that you have like a new coach and a new hire, it's going to take some time. But These are Sig's guys. Right. They're his guys. I mean, they could have been Allen recruits. They could have been freshmen somewhere else coming over here. I think they have the roster that they want.
And I also think what's interesting is last season, IU had a QB battle with Brandon Sorsby, who led the Hoosiers in passing yards with 1,587 total. You had Taven Jackson with all lights on him. Everyone was ready. And this season, we're already talking about a new QB. Is that who should be throwing the ball, or should it be Jackson this season?
I think it should be Curtis Rourke, because that's what you got to do in this day and age. You got to get your quarterback. You got to get your guy. I don't think Taven should be written off. Again, if there's an injury to Curtis Rourke, God forbid that happens. But I think that would be, a nice step in the right direction. I've had people tell me that not only Taven but Tyler Cherry look fantastic in practice.
And that's true too. We can't cancel him out yet.
Right, and I think that, but in the aspect of Curtis Rourke, I think he's got to be the guy. You went out and got him. One of the better players in the G5 the past couple of years. MAC Player of the Year, has experience in the postseason playing in bowl games. I think he's going to be fantastic.
And I mean, ultimately, it's going to come up to Coach Cignetti, and he's going to be leading this team, and hopefully with a good resume behind him, leaving JMU. What's expected from him this season? Does he need to come off and win that first game to start us off? Is it needed?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, guys, any team in the group of five, or I mean, any team that is, a school that sounds inferior to Indiana must be a win. The way that Sig has been talking, and I think he'll back it up. I mean, spoiler, I think they'll win on Saturday. I think they'll win these next couple games.
First win,
But I think, they got to get started. They got to get started rolling well on both sides of the ball. They got to have, you got to limit the turnovers. I think you can't have mistakes in games that you really want to see the team play flawlessly against. I mean, let's be honest, these cupcakes. They gotta play well.
Not cupcakes. And so then right this Saturday, FIU, IU, home opener at Memorial Stadium. IU takes on Florida International University for their home season opener. There's going to be a lot to look forward to. And I mean, Buffalo Wings is going to be there too. So it's going to be fun for everyone. And when you watch that FIU game, what are you expecting from both sides of the ball for that game?
Like what I just said, you got to limit the turnovers. You got to limit mistakes. You have to bring in these receivers that, let's be honest, I thought we were going to talk about it earlier. Something I really want to see is how these receivers that weren't really like neglected last year, but were undervalued, underused, and maybe that's just due to the option that Walt Bell ran. But I think it's you got to set that with the quarterback, whether that's Miles Price or Donovan McCulley or any of these guys, or EJ Williams, Omar Cooper, any of these guys. So I think they have to figure that out first. You can't have. I mean, we know the running game's going to be good with Justice Ellison,
right?
And I think Curtis Rourke's really good at getting the ball to these dynamic receivers. So we'll see. I'm excited for it.
Is it going to come down to that QB?
No. I think the defense will be well seasoned. I think they'll be good enough. This is going to be a nice start in the right direction.
And so when you look at the season as a whole with their schedule, we have new teams coming in: Washington, UCLA, Charlotte. When you look at their schedule, does it play in their favor? Or is it
I would say yes. I would say yes because, well, let's see. Obviously, Ohio State, Michigan, those could be out of the realm. But you see, Washington is one of the newer Big Ten teams that they're going to play. They're going to have a little bit of time to figure out their identity, and I think they play in October.
Yep.
So we'll see how that works out. But these first 4 games, I mean, FIU, and then you have Charlotte, Western Illinois, and then you have a tough game against UCLA.
Yes.
While you do go to that historic stadium, while you will be in prime time, I think that's the NBC slate. I think that I feel like UCLA is kind of on the down, and IU is getting past them on the up, even though they're in LA, wherever they're at. I think Indiana will probably they'll have a good chance to win that game. I'm not going to sit here. Maybe in a couple weeks I'll sit here and say they're going to win the game, but we'll see. I think that they could totally be 5-0 heading into Nebraska, or 6-0. I'm not sure the number, but they could be undefeated. They could be bowl eligible by the middle of October. But after that, I think it could go south again. You got Michigan, Ohio State. You go to Michigan State before that little drop off that we just mentioned. You go to Northwestern. How the lake effect will hinder Indiana in that game with the new facility at Northwestern. I think that'll be fantastic. But this game should be bowl eligible.
And with FIU, with people saying like it's a cop-out game, this is going to be too easy for them, like they did this on purpose, do you feel like that is what it is? Or do you think FIU actually will give them competition and let the fans see what IU has this season?
I think there's going to be one quarter that IU will have some laps in, whether that's the first or the third quarter.
Adjusting.
I think they'll settle in nicely. I think they'll be fine. I think they'll take it.
So at the end of the fourth quarter, FIU, IU, what do you see the score being on that scoreboard?
I really don't like score predictions, but I will give one. I have to give one for every show this year, but I'll do it. I think Indiana will win a comfortable game. Let's just say 45-13.
Okay.
This is going to be a very good offense, and I think it'll take some time.
Okay.
It'll take some time when they get to these better teams that they're going to play. But I do think this will be a nice step in the right direction. Everyone will be excited about the quarterback, the new receivers, running backs. It's going to be great.
I mean, I had 31-17, so I feel like we're in the same area. IU will win. I think it will be a rough start, is my guess. We have a rough start with quarterbacks trying to get in the flow, but I think when they pick it up, it will be good. And
I think you'll be surprised with Curtis Rourke. I think he's going to surprise
everyone.
He'll be really, really good. He's going to be fantastic.
I think you'll know when you see the receivers that go out there that first offensive play.
Right.
I think it'll set the tone. It'll be good. I'm excited for this season. It's going to be a good season for IU versus FIU this Saturday, 3:30 kickoff. We'll see you then.